And you know, what I didn't elaborate on last night, like what it really comes down to is like, you know, be willing to, you know, accept the love and affection that your friends are offering you, you know, to be responsive to that, to be open to that. Because it really comes down to this business of cancer and all of that, love and fear. And to be surrounded by love is, you just don't indulge in, you know, these fears that can manifest, and you don't allow the negativity into your head. And I believe that's an extremely important part of my process in getting well. And it's no longer, as I was saying to Mick over there earlier, this story is no longer about me, but it's about us, you know. And as Pascal mentioned, it's about community, service to your community. But I had no idea so many people like me until I got this, you know what I'm saying? Like, I hadn't a clue. You know Lilies, Dr. Lilies, as I'm going to call him from now on. You know, my brother has been a very keen nutritionist. He reads everything to do with health and everything else. And he said, you know, when they handed me down this opinion, I don't know, I'm just going to repeat myself from last night, but, you know, they told me I was inoperable, incurable, and the best thing we can do for you, Sean, is to offer you these experimental drugs. And I said to myself, well, that's just your fucking opinion. In my head. And I said, you know, I'm going to get a second opinion. And I've met some extraordinary people in the alternative medicine field. And I'm participating in this, and this is where the funding is going. It's not cheap to do this. I went off, as I said last night, to LA 12 years ago with 500 bucks, a suitcase and a dream, and I came back with the suitcase, you know. And so this means everything to me. It means, you know, a tremendous amount to me, but it's coming in such a metaphysical and spiritual way that I never really, you know, was open to that. I resisted this initially when it was presented to me, you know, but I see this now as the greatest, one of the best blessings that ever happened to me in my life, because it really is a universal wake-up call for me. You know, what is it all about? You know, what meaning? Are you having a laugh in your life? It's very important to, you know, to be in service in the community. And you know, I really love you all. You know, from the bottom of my heart, it means everything to me. And I may have left Marino, and that dream is still alive, and I've every intention of fulfilling it. And you know, it's just such a privilege and a blessing to be able to participate in this in my own way. But it's like, when that guy told me that you know, that's it, you've got, like, what do you have? What I actually have is kidney, cancerous growth in the kidney, lung cancer, and then they threw in, you know, brain tumour. And 2 weeks ago, I could not move out of the bed. I had to get my mother to come up to put on my shoes and socks. I couldn't move in the bed, and I was in agony. And I started a story last night, and I was inspired by a guy called Lance Armstrong. I read his story, and this guy was in agony on the floor with this cancerous disease. And he said, I've got to get back on the bike, I've got to get back on the bike, I've got to get back on the bike. And that was his mantra. And he got back on the bike and won 4 Tour de France, and he was written off and told he'd be dead in 4 months. And that's what he did. So I wrote a story in Los Angeles, and my mantra, I'm screaming in agony in the bed saying, I've got to get back. I wrote this Western, you know, and I've submitted to some people out in Hollywood and all of that, but to get me to have something, it's very important that you have, you know, something to look forward to, and you put something into your future in your mind. I said, I've got to get on a horse. I've got to get on a horse. I've got to get on a horse, because I'm in the West, and I wrote myself into the story. I've been knocking on doors out there for years. I've got to make sure I'm on that horse and in that Western. Right, but I was on a horse in Paris Court last Sunday, and I sent it off to this director, and he said it's the best email he ever got in his life, because he wants to do this thing, you know. So, I mean, for me, it's like, you know, there's so many gifts wrapped up in this. It's like almost very difficult for me to articulate and express exactly what it means to me inside. But what I feel is, you know, if you can't love yourself, you can't love anybody. And it really is about loving people. Because at the end of the day, I mean, what's it all about? Like, if you're not, you know, loving and being committed in your, you know, loving each other. But self-love is very important. So my job is to survive and use the bread that I'm getting from this to actually fucking show them that they're wrong. You know, there are a million ways to skin a cat. I've decided, I mean, really and truly, to document what I've done, you know, and I have, the title of the book is How I Survived the Chef at Beaumont Hospital. And it's all about what I experienced there. And then they're a brilliant bunch of people, and they're fantastic, but they don't think out of their own box. And I said to the guy afterwards, I said, how many people do you say that to a month? You know, that we can't do anything for you. He said about 4 or 5. And are you seriously telling me there are 4 or 5 people walk out that door with nothing on their mind that I'm going to die? Now that's how powerful, you know, these words from these guys are. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of them do just go away and fade away. And you have to make a conscious decision. I had to make a conscious decision within that 5 minutes that I'm not going there. I really am not going there. I'm going to live and I'm going to prove it, right? And I'm standing here and I'm telling you, I don't care what they've told me. That's just their opinion, right? It's what I'm thinking and feeling about myself that matters, that will manifest in my life, because we're all creators. We create all the time. It's a God-given gift that we exist here to create. And the trick is just to create something wonderful and beautiful and something meaningful. But you have to go and knock against a lot of walls. This is a crisis. It's not just like, oh yeah, this is happening. It's like real for me. But there's so many different spiritual awakenings attached to it. I won't go on anymore. But look, from the bottom of my heart and soul, I thank you all for being here. And particularly this man over here, Clarky, who's worked his ass off. Worked his ass off.
Good man, Clarky.
I didn't really, you know, connect with Clarky until I came over here this time round. I mean, we always said hello and we'd have a laugh and a drink at the bar and slag each other. But I really found out the depth of his commitment and service to people. And that's what I want to be doing. Because that's where you don't get disease if you're into other people's problems and solving other people's situations, because you're out of yourself. And that's the thing, is to be out of yourself and to be into, you know, committed to our humanity and our sense of community, as Pascal was talking about earlier. And that's what it's about. But there's a lot of other things, anger and other issues that go along with all of this, but that's it. But thank you very much for being here from me. I love you all. Thank you.